What's up, guys? This is Lucky. We've got some Battlefront here on the Forest Moon of Endor, favorite map for the duration, to talk about the great nerfing. A big, huge mega patch has dropped for Battlefront, and it covers all the stuff I would like for it to cover. For the most part, it is missing a few things, and I'm going to talk about where it's nerfed guns and star cards, new features and functionality it added, and in general what my initial reactions are to the patch, and also where it's kind of missing some stuff. But for the most part, this is a great fucking patch. So first off, let's talk about new stuff that it's added. It's added daily challenges, so there will be a new challenge every day. It's timed. It's going to be easier than the normal challenges. It'll be like, get 10 vehicle kills or something of that nature. It'll be randomized for people and just adds a little flavor to your day-to-day playing. That's going to add a little spice that lots of other games offer. Speaking of the things other games offer, stuff that people really desperately wanted, it shows that DICE is listening. They've added private match functionality, so you can create a private match now and invite friends to it. This will be good for tournaments and that type of thing, or if you just want to get together and just play with your buds, man. They've also added the ability to choose servers, and this is a huge thing, especially for people in Australia and other places, and it's something that people really slammed DICE for not having in the get-go, but now it's there, and it just shows, I think, that DICE is listening to the community and they're committed to improving the actual game. Also, speaking of free content, they've taken the Tatooine survival map. They call it Raiders Camp now. They've added it to the rotation and multiplayer, so it's been added to Blast, Droid Run, Hero Hunt, Heroes versus Villains, and Drop Zone. It's a very vertical map. It's a lot different than the other maps. And this is going to bring that small map total to around 14 for your deathmatch and blast modes. And some of these others, it's definitely adding more variety to the game. And that's free to everybody. They've also added the Luke and Han Hoth skin. Haha. Fucking awesome. He's there with his blue lightsaber, and it fucking looks kick-ass. So, man, this is big stuff. They're adding free stuff. And I've got, my next video is going to be about their announcement related to Season Pass and free DLC coming to the game. This really going to bolster its offerings to people. And I think by the time all is said and done, even by the time March rolls around, you're going to have a game that's actually going to be launched and it's going to have a lot of content. It's going to be very fair value, and it has really addressed all the criticisms that it got. And probably it was a little bit of it was unfair and exaggerated, so to speak. They're addressing those, and they're adding this content to it, and I'm super excited about it, and it shows that they are in fact listening to people. Now, let's get on to the nerfing, and since we're talking about heroes, let's start there. Han Solo got a big nerf. His DL-44 damage dropped by about 10% at mid-range, and his mid-range was lowered. So his mid-range went essentially from 20 to 40 meters to 10 to 25 meters. And that's a big drop, where his mid-range used to be farther out, now it's closer in. And then the damage within that range and beyond that range also dropped. So it's actually a fairly substantial nerf to Han. But Boba got even hit bigger with the nerf stick, and that his EE blaster his damage dropped by 30% at mid-range, and they've lowered it. It used to be 30 to 80 meters, now it's 30 to 60 meters. And what this is going to mean is it's going to be a lot harder for these guys with Boba Fett to sit way back on the far edge of the map and just sit back and like snipe people and not have to engage. They're going to do a lot less damage. It's going to force them to get a little bit closer and hopefully expose themselves. So I think that's good. I think they also went a little bit too far. They also nerfed his missile. It doesn't lock on anymore. Its explosion radius was decreased, but within that explosion radius, basically the max damage has actually increased. So it's more potent, but it has to be more accurate. And without the homing, it's going to be a lot more difficult. This is a big nerf to Boba Fett, and I think they went a little bit too far. They also did not address what I really would have liked to have seen them address, the flamethrower. I would have liked to have seen the range increase on the flamethrower, and basically for them to remove that delay. Because to me, the flamethrower for Boba Fett is the ideal weapon that you kind of want buffed. You want to entice players to use it because that forces them to get in and to get close range. And right now, it's just so weak that players don't do that, and they don't really use it. So I really would have liked to seen a buff there, and that didn't happen. And now Boba's really weak, and yeah, I think some heroes versus villains players are going to be a little bit upset by this. I think in the normal game modes, it's probably going to play out pretty well. It's probably a pretty good nerf. But at the same time, there may be some additional work there that needs to be done, and we'll just have to see on a go-forward basis. Hero ships. They also did a big tweak there. I had wanted a 50% decrease in my last video where I talked about what's really wrong with Battlefront. I really wanted to see that health drop 50%. They dropped it by 30, which is a big nerf. Maybe they should go farther, but hey, I'm not knocking it. This is a step in the right direction, and this is really good stuff. They also basically changed the timing of when the token shows up, so maybe it gives other people a chance, because I think it was like a preset time, and if you knew where to look at the right time during the match, the same people got it. I think they're going to randomize that and increase the chances that other people get it instead of the same people over and over and over again. And that's good. Speaking of Fighter Squadron, one of the big things missing from this is there's no fix to the A-Wing hitbox. That means Fighter Squadron is still very much unbalanced in favor of the Rebels. The devs, however, confirmed on Twitter 2 different cases where the devs have confirmed that they have a fix in place, and it is coming with the next patch. And maybe it's something that they're being a little cautious about. They're waiting to do a little bit more testing, but there is a fix. They are working on it. It just didn't hit with this patch, and I guess they're being cautious about that, and that's okay. Now, on to the good stuff. Guns. The great nerfing. Is the DL-44 nerfed? Yes, it is. Much to everybody's happy, there is a very big nerf in place for the DL-44. What they said is, the exact quotes are, the overheat has been tweaked, the fire rate changed from 250 rounds per minute to 180 rounds per minute, which is going to increase its time to kill substantially. It's going to bring it on par with the T-21, the T-21B, and so it's going to have a very similar time to kill as a lot of other guns. Is the DL-44 still going to kill you? Absolutely. I personally feel like maybe they should have addressed the range as well. But that being said, this means the DL-44 is no longer the fucking cheese gun. It's no longer the gun you have to use. You're still going to die to it. It's still going to be a good gun to use. But at the same time, other guns are more viable now. And I think you'll see a lot of variety. And I think like the E11, the T-21B, and the T-21, I think those are going to be really good options now that I think I'm probably going to lean toward. I've been loving my E11 lately. Been really liking that gun. And even some of the other pistols, I may lean in favor of those guns now. Also, the RT97C, it got its overheat value increased by 8%, and its spread increased over time, which is something I really wanted to see in that heavy blaster. There was no reason you should be able, at 50 meters, to have laser accuracy with no spread whatsoever. And now, basically, the longer you fire, the spread's going to increase. And this is the exact kind of change that I think needed to happen to this gun. So I think that's a really good change there. And it's going to make the other heavy blasters more viable. And the T-21 particularly, especially if you're accurate. Now, burst guns, they got a nerf, but not to their actual damage. What they got a nerf to was explosive shot. And what a lot of people did is they used the star card explosive shot in conjunction with the EE3 or the burst pistol, and basically you're getting 1 to 2 burst downs. they have cut that explosive damage in half. So those are going to move to basically 2 and 3 burst downs now with each of those respective pistols. And in general, I'm happy explosive shot got nerfed. I personally liked using the burst pistol with explosive shot, but you know, I mean, I would rather the game focus on gunplay. So it's a trade-off that I'm happy with. I had in my previous video also said I felt like the A280 needed to be fine-tuned. My opinion then was based on the beta, and I hadn't really used it that much in the actual game. A lot of you commented on that. I went back, I used it a lot. It is really laser accurate, and so no change happened to it in this patch, but I would like to take a moment to rescind my earlier comments and feel like it's great. Those are the only changes to the guns themselves, and most importantly, the DL44 got the nerf that it needed. Now, one thing they mentioned was overheat tweaked, and they didn't say basically that it overheats more. So they didn't say that it was a nerf or a buff. They just said tweaked. I actually think it's a buff. It overheated fairly quickly to begin with, and I think with the lower rounds per minute, it needs to overheat at a slower rate. And I think that's what they changed, but they're not going to put that in their comments, because if people saw any buff to the DL44, they would have overreacted. So I actually think that's probably what it was. But that's just my take on it. That's just a guess, and we'll just have to wait and see. Next up on the great nerfing, star cards. Oh, yes. Explosive shot got its cooldown increased from normal, going from basically its active time actually was decreased from normal from 7 to 5 seconds, upgraded from 10 to 7 seconds. So yes, that's a good thing. All your little explosives, thermal detonator got its cooldown increase, which these are, I love the increases to cooldown, because it's exactly what I wanted to see happen. And personally, I think they could have gone a little bit farther and even added more cooldown. Here we go. Thermal detonator, impact grenade, and barrage all got their cooldowns increased. All of them. You got thermal detonator going from 15 to 20 seconds normal. Impact grenade going from 16 to 25 seconds, and barrage, that gosh damn fucking nightmare, going from 18 to 40 seconds. I know a lot of people are pissed. I don't fucking care. It's a fucking, it shoots 3 goddamn grenades. There's no reason for it to have a cooldown any less than 40 seconds, and there's still going to be people sitting up at the top of tight corridors using thermal barrage. You're just going to have to be smarter. You're not going to be able to spam it now, and you're going to have to be smarter about how you use it. This is great stuff. The bowcaster. The bowcaster also got nerfed almost to oblivion. This is the one where I feel like they nerfed it too far. Its replenish time, they increased its cooldown from 18 to 25 seconds. But they've also changed the damage, and they've lowered the damage of the explosive damage from 50 to 15 per shot. And that's huge. And now it doesn't even, there are videos out there, it's not even basically killing people almost at point blank range at like 5 and 10 meters, even with a dead on hit. So I think they overdid it there to the point it's basically useless. Something needed to be done about it. I think they may have gone a little bit too far. Maybe they'll come back and tweak that. Flash grenade, it also got its cooldown increased from 16 to 20 seconds. Ion torpedo, this is a big one because its cooldown time went from 15 to 25 seconds, or upgraded from 12 to 15 seconds. Its lock-on range also got decreased from 600 to 500 meters, meaning you have to be closer. Now, the lock-on range I don't think is going to have a major effect on hitting walkers or hitting chicken walkers. It is going to have a bigger effect on hitting starships and stuff. And I don't know that we really needed this particular nerf, but we'll see. I am really glad to see the change to the cooldown. One thing that they did not address in this patch at all was walker health. Walker health needed to be fucking increased by 10 to 20%. In a roundabout way, this is a balance in favor of the Empire, and that people will not be able to do as much damage to the walker. How much this pans out to be, whether or not this balances walker assault more, we'll have to see. I figure only 5 to 10 people in any lobby are actually using ion torpedo, And with these cooldown times, you're not going to be able to get, like before you could get 3, 4, 5, 6 shots with an ion torpedo. That's going to get cut significantly. That's going to get cut in half, or at least by 50%. So there is going to be less damage done to the walker this way, but there's still plenty of other ways to damage the walker, and so I still think that walker damage should have been increased. Another big one, the cycler finally got buffed. Yes, and at close range now, it at 10 meters, it is basically a one-shot kill. And that may be open to a little bit of abuse, but it's only at 10 meters, so still. And the drop-off got reduced, so it's gonna be a lot closer to what we had in the beta, and it's gonna be good. I'm excited about using the cycler rifle again. Also, bounty hunter trait got fucking level 3 got nerfed. It needed to get nerfed. It doesn't reset cooldowns automatically now on every kill, so you can't have the little crickets with the jump bow. But what it does is basically set it to like 85% cooldown. So you still they'll have to wait a minute, so they'll not be able to use jump bow. So that is gone from the fucking game. Good buff. Now, one of them that's kind of near and dear to my heart is the scan ping. I use scan pulse a shitload, and maybe I used it too much, but the significant changes here. One, its active time decreased from 7 seconds to 2. That is huge. That means when you use it, you only got a couple of seconds to figure out where people are. Also, basically the recharge, they changed the cooldown on it from 8 to 10 seconds or upgraded from 5 to 8 seconds. So you're going to be going through charges even more than you were before, and I guess this is good. I use the hell out of it, but it's probably a good nerf that I'm probably in favor for. Last but not least, cover a few last things here before we sign off. There were some bug fixes. They fixed the collision on Fighter Squadron with Jack Q. Basically where people were spawning in and dying. Stun-inducing attacks now trigger the stun animation loop properly. Laying at nothing used to stop you before, now you should follow through with it. So there's some little fixes. Gameplay-wise, there's some really cool, good stuff here. They've added spawn points and friend zones for Supremacy, Walker Assault, and Turning Point, all the big modes. Excellent stuff. They've altered the player minimum count on all modes, 20 for the big modes and 4 for the small modes. For starfighters and airspeeders and the big modes, basically Walker Assault, Turning Point, and such, there's a longer respawn delay for those. I think it's 20 seconds for the starfighters and 10 for the snowspeeders. Turbo lasers, they've increased the respawn time by 15 seconds. That's really fucking good. And they got rid of one of the turbo lasers on Solus that was being used for spawn raping. So that's fucking kick-ass. They also made some slight adjustments to the win bonuses in Blast and Hero Hunt, mostly where they were reduced. And they basically reduced the scoring for hitting AI fighters and Fighter Squadron. All in all, very big patch, very good stuff. I think DICE did a fucking awesome job. I can't wait for my next video to talk about the expansion pass and all the free DLC coming, because there's some kick-ass shit there. But I'm very happy with this. As we progress, I'll give you my impressions of actual gameplay. But for now, this is Lucky signing out. Peace.